Hey everyone, I'm Marianna and welcome to the second part of my February wrap-up. If you missed the reading portion of this, I will link it down in the info box below, but this video is going to be all about the movies that I watched in February. Now, I would normally include TV shows in this video as well, but the problem is that I actually haven't finished any TV shows last month because for some reason I just keep starting shows and not finishing them. It's not that I'm not interested. There's just something about TV right now that's not working for me. I don't know why. The binges are not happening. I am in the middle of about 10 shows probably at the moment, and it's kind of eating away at me at the back of my mind because I hate leaving things unfinished. But yeah. Didn't finish anything. Maybe I should stick to miniseries for now. So if you have any recommendations for miniseries that are 6 to 8 episodes long, leave them in the comments below. I'll give that a try. Maybe I'll do better in March. So that being said, let's take a look at my Letterboxd. And if you don't follow me on Letterboxd and you want to keep up with what I'm watching, I am Impression Blend on there, just like I am everywhere else on social media. February has pretty much been the month of rewatches and catching up on a random selection of 2017 movies that I've missed. Though I did watch a few 2018 releases, you will see them when I get there, but overall it was kind of a mediocre month for me as far as movies go. If you take out the rewatches, it really doesn't look all that exciting. But let's get into it from the very beginning. The first movie I watched was Everything, Everything. This is about a girl who is allergic to pretty much anything in the outside world and has to stay inside in a controlled environment. Of course, there's a boy who moves in next door, and that's the boy she likes, and she really wants to hang out with him and get to know him better. Basically, this is the kind of young adult forbidden romance type of movie, and if you are into that kind of thing, I think it's completely enjoyable. It's fine. There's nothing really outrageously wrong with this movie for me. It was just kind of okay. It's not really my genre, and it didn't really do anything outstanding to blow my mind, so I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. But if the premise sounds interesting to you, I think it's a perfectly enjoyable film that is worth checking out. Then I rewatched Sicario because Denis Villeneuve is amazing, as we all know, and I haven't seen this movie in a while, and surprise, surprise, I still love this movie. It is really, really great, and I did do a review on this a while ago, back when the movie came out, so if you haven't seen it, you can check it out. I don't really know if it's a great review at this point, because obviously, hopefully, I've improved, but yeah, you can check it out if you want to hear my thoughts on this. Still gave it 5 out of 5 stars because it's a great movie. I still don't know how to feel about the sequel coming out this year. Thankfully, they are sticking with Taylor Sheridan for writing, but obviously no Denis Villeneuve directing, no Roger Deakins doing the cinematography, which I feel like those two people kind of made this entire film. And then Emily Blunt is not in the sequel either, which I kind of get why they say that her story kind of came to a logical conclusion and there was no way to make sense of writing her back into Sicario, but I don't know. I feel like I'm really gonna miss her because I really liked her character. We'll see. But honestly, I'm not expecting it to blow my mind because I am obviously going to compare it to Sicario, and that's gonna be a tough comparison. Anyways, moving on. The next movie that I watched is On Body and Soul, and this was one of the nominees for Best Foreign Film for the Oscars. And by the way, it is on Netflix if you want to check it out, but this is a very unique romance, to say the least. This isn't exactly my kind of art house film, so I didn't love it, but there's a lot to appreciate about it. The story takes place with the backdrop of a slaughterhouse, which I really appreciated the metaphor, but I really could have done without the multiple sequences of graphic slaughterhouse stuff. I didn't need to see that really, but it's basically about two introverts who are pretty much misfits in the society and them trying to come together. The thing that they share is that they're for some reason seeing the same dreams. Like they're actually in the same dreams from different perspectives. So the premise is really cool, but it is quite a slow burning film. And yeah, slaughterhouse. I think if this premise sounds interesting to you, then it is absolutely worth checking out, because it is not a bad film by any means. It's just not quite my cup of tea, but it is very interesting and very unusual. It's just, be prepared that this is not exactly for everyone. So personally, I ended up rating it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I rewatched Amadeus, which is one of my all-time favorite films. So of course I 5-starred the hell out of that. I really need to make a video about this film. It's oddly one of my most requested films to review on this channel. So I just need to sit down and do that and tell you all of the reasons why I love this movie so much. But if for some reason you haven't seen it, then you really need to watch it. It's a masterpiece. Then I watched Gifted, and as you can tell, I wasn't very impressed by it. I ended up giving it 2.5 out of 5 stars. To me, it was just kind of baffling why Octavia Spencer and Chris Evans would be in this essentially Lifetime type of movie. The little girl was really good as well, and basically this movie is about this really gifted little girl. She is pretty much a math genius, and she's not challenged in school at all, and her grandmother, who is the evil person in this movie, because oh, the horror, she wants the kid to go to a more advanced school, and she wants the kid to actually do math like the kid wants to and do well with that and actually be at her level. But her uncle, Chris Evans, who is taking care of the kid, is on the mission to give her a normal childhood because that's what he believes is right. Anyways, my personal feelings on the situation put aside, the movie was just very, as I mentioned, Lifetime, and it wasn't at all impressive, and the story was very melodramatic, and you knew exactly what was going to happen next. So 2.5 out of 5 stars, very average. After that, things got even worse because I watched my first 2018 release, actual 2018 release, and that was the Cloverfield Paradox. And that movie was such a huge mess and a huge disappointment for me. As you can tell, I ended up giving it 1.5 out of 5 stars because, in my opinion, it was terrible. It was all kinds of wrong. I did not like this movie at all. I can't recommend it to anybody. I know some people are trying to defend this movie and say it's misunderstood and trying to kind of grasp onto some theories, but guys, this movie doesn't make a lot of sense, and the dialogue is so much cringe. It's not good, and it's especially disappointing after how good 10 Cloverfield Lane was. So yeah. Let's see where the Cloverfield universe goes next, but it can't get much worse than this one. Or can it? Please don't. Then I watched Selma, which is a Norwegian movie. I have been meaning to watch it for such a long time, and I'm so glad I finally was able to see it because I really liked it. I know this movie is not going to be for everyone. It is quite a slow burn, and if you do enjoy those kind of slow but stunning Scandinavian films, then give this one a try. This is about a young girl who is going to a university and she starts experiencing these strange violent seizures, which may or may not have to do with some special abilities. It is a very interesting coming of age story and it is shot absolutely beautifully. I think it's worth giving a try to. I think you're immediately going to know if you're into it or not. Unfortunately, not everything comes together in this movie as well as it could. By the end, you are left with some threads that are just kind of left out there, and that's what it is. And the resolution is not going to be satisfying for everybody, but I really liked it. I thought it was really, really good. So I would definitely recommend it if you want to see a good foreign language film that touches on themes such as guilt and love and desire and repression. You know, a good coming of age story. So I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I rewatched Ex Machina, which is of course Alex Garland's directorial debut. I wanted to give it another viewing before watching Annihilation later in February, which I did end up watching. And I find this film to be endlessly rewatchable. There's something new to enjoy about it, at least for me, every time I sit down to watch it, and you kind of see it from a different perspective every time, which is very, very interesting. If you are a science fiction fan and you somehow have not seen this film, then I don't know how that happened, but you need to watch it as soon as possible. It is very, very good, really good intellectual sci-fi, and I do have a very old review of this on my channel as well, so you can check it out if you want. Once again, I don't guarantee the quality of that review, but if you want to see old school Marianna review, you can check it out. I will link it down below. So once again, rated at 4 out of 5 stars. I feel like another viewing and is going to go up at least half a star for me. I also rewatched The Devil Wears Prada, which is my go-to movie when I am not having the best of days. It just always makes me feel better. I don't know what it is about that movie, but I need The Devil Wears Prada in my life when I'm not having a good day. And I wasn't having the best of days on the day that I rewatched this. I was stressed. I don't remember why anymore, but it was one of those. And my awesome husband got me some ice cream, sat me down with this movie and watched it with me. And it was the best time. And I felt so much better afterwards. So yeah, that was great. I highly recommend watching this if you're feeling down. Then I saw The Ritual, which I do believe is a 2018 release for the US, even though I think it came out in 2017 in other places. But anyways, The Ritual is a hiking slash survival horror film that is perfectly described as the blend of the Blair Witch Project and The Descent, but with an all-male team braving Scandinavian woods, which the setting is absolutely stunning. I loved the setting of this. What's not to like? It did not do anything terribly original, and I really think it would have benefited from better writing, because for me, the concept was actually pretty interesting, and there is an element to it that I don't want to spoil for you towards the end, or rather towards the second half of the movie, that is really cool, but the writing itself was just dragging this movie down for me, and I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. I think it is enjoyable and it is interesting, but sadly, it could have been so much better. But if this sounds like an interesting movie to you, I think it's worth watching once, especially since you can just stream it on Netflix. And the direction and the cinematography are actually really good. Also, I finally saw Spider-Man Homecoming. Yes, this is how long it took me to watch this movie, and I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars because I thought it was enjoyable, but generally all right. Here's the thing. This is not a bad film. This is a perfectly fine MCU movie, and if you are a fan of Marvel films and superhero films, you are going to have fun with this one, and you probably have already seen it back when it was in theaters. If you are pretty neutral, or if you don't like MCU films, this is not going to change your mind. Tom Holland, of course, is a really good Spider-Man. I think he fits this film really well. I think the movie is at its best when it's doing the whole coming-of-age teen high school thing. It is actually pretty entertaining, and it had some really good jokes. But when it starts going for the more traditional Marvel superhero stuff, it's just all right, and didn't do anything crazy exciting for me. So I thought it was pretty good. It didn't blow my mind. It wasn't really outstanding. I don't really think I'm going to ever rewatch it, or I'm going to remember it because of something special that I saw in it. 3 out of 5 is my rating for this. Then I decided to check out one of the Oscar-nominated documentaries, Abacus, Small Enough to Jail. This is a story of a Chinese immigrant and his family who own a bank in Chinatown, New York, and they ended up being accused of a mortgage fraud situation, and it gets pretty crazy. It is an interesting story on its own. I definitely found it interesting, but it doesn't, as a documentary, it doesn't really blow your mind. I would recommend watching it if you are interested in this type of thing, and I think it is a worthy documentary. It tells a story that isn't really told very often, but it's, you know, it's no Dear Zachary or anything like that. But I did find it enjoyable, and it did keep me interested throughout the whole thing, so I ended up giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I saw my biggest disappointment of this year so far, and I think it may stay that way, because Mute was a film that I was really looking forward to. This is set in the same universe as Moon, and as you guys may or may not know, I love Moon, and I think it's an amazing science fiction film. I do have a video on that, so you can check it out if you want. I was so excited to see this, and I was so excited for Duncan Jones to make a comeback, because ever since then I haven't really loved either of his films. They were enjoyable for me, but none of them were great in my opinion, and this wasn't it. This wasn't very good. It's about this mute bartender in futuristic Berlin who is searching for his missing girlfriend, and it goes all kinds of wrong, starting from the story to the cringiest dialogue you will hear to characters that are just, I don't even know what's going on in this movie. It's not good. I do not recommend it. It is on Netflix. Once again, all of these movies that are very disappointing keep going to Netflix. This is the new direct-to-video release platform, apparently. I hope not, because they did have some really good movies in the past. I don't know what's going on this year, but yeah, I would not recommend it at all unless you are very curious for some reason. Then I saw Annihilation, which was finally a 2018 release that I really enjoyed, and it was a movie I was really looking forward to, so it did not disappoint me. That's exciting. And it was also my first theater experience of 2018. I haven't been to a movie theater since the end of December of last year. Can you imagine that? Anyways, Annihilation, I do have a full review of this on my channel, so if you haven't seen that video, I will leave it down below, along with everything else that I've mentioned. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. And the last movie that I saw in February actually did end up being a disappointment. I watched The Square, which was also one of the Oscar-nominated foreign films, and I did not like it at all. Ended up giving it 2 out of 5 stars, and I cannot believe how many people are loving this movie. What is going on? I thought this movie was, I'm gonna use that word that people get really upset about, because as soon as you use the word, people just tell you you didn't get it. But no, I got it. This movie was very pretentious. I'm sorry. It was, and it was the kind of art that it attempted to criticize. I didn't like any of the characters. Almost everything this movie tried to comment on was very low-hanging fruit. It did have some good scenes and some good dialogue, and it did try to do some interesting things, and the acting was good, and it was shot well, but none of this came together in any cohesive way, and the movie was 2.5 hours long. 2.5 hours of snippets of ideas that don't really come together is just way too much. What is going on with this movie? I was not a fan, and that's why I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. So that was my February in movies. As you can tell, it's not a very impressive movie month. Now, before you write all those comments, I know I have not seen Black Panther, and I am planning to see it. It's just, it's been packed, and I don't want to sit in a packed movie theater when Chicago still has the flu season going full swing. It doesn't seem like a good idea to me right now. So I do intend to see it before it leaves theaters, once it stops being so busy in every showing of that film. So probably sometime in March I'm going to see it, and I will report back with my thoughts. I know a lot of you have asked me what I thought of the movie. Haven't thought anything yet because I haven't seen it, and yeah, I'm hoping March is going to be a much better movie month for me, because this was not great. Also, just to give you a heads up, my next 2 videos are going to be my top 5 books that I've read this winter and my top 5 movies that I've seen this winter. So you can look forward to that. You guys really enjoyed my fall top 5s last year, so I hope you enjoy those 2 as well. And after that, we'll see what happens. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, all of those things. I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye!